Yes, I am, Alex. I'm just waiting here for YouTube to load. All right, good morning. So I stand by my comment as I said. Alex, you said, what do you mean? Yesterday, so I said, this market's retarded. The way it whipped back and forth, which is another way of saying it's erratic, confused. People are crazy. They just don't know what to do here with this market other than buy the dip. Um, and while they buy the dip, there's a whole bunch up there sitting up above selling the rallies. And so they got this whip back and forth. But it's amazing how, I mean, yesterday, and that's why I picked the SPY here to show. But, day before yesterday, we had this reversal here. And on this day, when it was pushing up pre-market, I said, well, let's just see how far it could retrace into the big red bar. That was last Thursday's big down day. And then it went down on Friday. And so it hit support and we had to move up. So, the idea was, okay, here's a big bar. We have to bring some type of black and white, what I call factory work type of analysis that is just consistent. Well, no matter what the market is, whatever the time frame is, whether it's today or 3 years from now, we're going to do the same thing. So that brings consistency to what we do. That doesn't mean the market will act in a consistent way all the time, but we have to continually adjust to that. And, when you have this kind of erratic price action, it's not fun. So anyway, the idea was, at this point, can it rally up into halfway into the green bar and close up there? And it didn't. But we had a green day, and I was like, all right, let's see if it can go up. And we had the down day, and then I spoke about a measured move lower. And then yesterday, prices gapped up and rallied up a bit. I guess at least halfway, maybe a little bit more, which said, hey, there's some strength there. So can it continue to push higher and make a new high? Will it become an M top? These are all the unknowns when things are going sideways. But the trend was up. And so, okay, this down day, if it had broken the low of this day, then we would have been, okay, this should break and go lower and get the measured move lower. But we didn't even have a break of the low. So no trigger, no trade. So now we come in today thinking, all right, can it stay in the upper half of this green bar, which has been a bit of a range expansion, or can it just gap up and go, and push up to new all-time? Well, I don't think that would be an all-time high on this. Have to get way up here. And anyway, we come in today, and here it is down here at around 321, gapping below the low of the green bar. So that's bearish. Where we have a range expansion green bar and it's gapping down below it, we've got support right here. So it doesn't say just, hit the bid and think, it's going to collapse here. We got to see a little bit more what happens here at the open. So we'll look at where the futures are. I'm just looking here at the 15-minute. This is the day chart. This is 24 hours. You can see it's kind of bouncing up here a little bit from there, and forget about this. This is just bad data. But anyway, gapping way down here, of course there's going to be buyers down there. You look to the left. Is there a pivot low? Yes. Is it extended short term from being up here to down there? Yes. There's likely to be buyers looking for a scalper bounce. Nothing wrong with that. So we'll see how far that gets, but a gap down under a green range expansion bar is certainly not positive. In no way. Can it survive this? I won't say no because this market is retarded. Anyway, this support here, I think this is the buyer's last chance here. We got lots of big earnings coming out tonight after the close again, so maybe they can save the day. We shall see. But if it stays down here, it closes down here, I don't think it matters what earnings come out after the close with a pattern like that. I mean, I think I would just have to put, if I recovered from that, I think I have to print out the chart. I still print out charts and mark them down, but that one would have to go into the, this one is for the history book folder to recover from something like that. So starting off the day with a bearish gap down, we'll see how far it goes. There's support right there. So it's not an all in. Let's just whack the bid here and see what happens. So the futures, you get a little bit of a clearer picture. And, this day, as I often say, is just the beginning of the day. And we've got a long ways to go before, 4 o'clock. But we're starting the day with a 180 down. This obviously could become a bottoming tail bar at the end of the day. So we just continue to go back and forth with, the confusion, but the red, green, red, smaller bars. Now we're getting bigger bars, wider range bars, which is going to, they're more powerful. And so repeating, can it stay down here today or even move lower? I would be a bit surprised if it goes lower to see it get significantly lower than this pivot low here. With the confusion that exists at the moment and the earnings that are coming out tonight after the close, could sellers be that confident to keep selling to push below this low? I suppose, but I would be surprised to see that happen. And with the support that's down here, I think buyers will step up and, they got to test it and see, how aggressive sellers want to be. So it's just that looking to the left, simplicity of here's support, here's resistance, and let's see what happens. And, this certainly looked like it could keep going, but because there's nothing to the left there, and there's a little shelf here. So it looked like it could keep going. And now it's retraced all the way back down again. So red, green, and confusion, sideways, chop. And that's what we're dealing with. Smile. Somebody in YouTube's got a whole bunch of smiley faces. It's a Kodak moment, I guess. I guess they own some Kodak. Good for you, Professor O. Congrats. If you owned it a couple of days ago, hats off, my friend. All right, so Nasdaq. Not quite the same. We got the same, green, red. Okay, so on, blah, blah, blah. This is staying below the halfway mark. And then we don't have to get, a measurement out here and say, okay, Greg, it's not exactly halfway. You're off by a few ticks there. No, we don't trade that way. We just have to eyeball it and say, is that still below the halfway mark, give or take? I'd say yes. You got a little tail above there? Doesn't matter, as long as the bodies are down there. And so the same thing, you can see back and forth, buyers stepping up here and sellers, rightly so, saying, I'm not so aggressive to think this is going to keep going down the way this is whipped back and forth. But here we got a bit of a clearer reference point of if this breaks, a clearer hole or, void that this continued to move lower versus, the S&Ps, which really isn't that clear at all, or it doesn't have that much of a void. So if this is going to continue to go down, the Nasdaq looks like a better bet, or more vulnerable to be able to drop. The Dow has been underperforming, and as you can see, it's already below those bars that were going sideways. And for the moment, it's under the 200 MA. The 50 is right there at 2600, and that's in alignment with these bars right there. So I would think 2600 is going to be a reference point. That's 115 points away, where sellers will be less aggressive and buyers may actually step up there. And so as I look at the this monthly, and we're getting into the end of the month, we're starting to get a turn right there. Topping tail, lower highs. We've got an inside month, which is just another way of viewing the uncertainty that's been going on here, chopping sideways. And just back and forth, an inside month. And we still got today and tomorrow for the week. Just go into that, but an M top, little topping tail, red topping tail. It's down below here. We'll see what things look like, into tomorrow, but this is starting to look like it's going to roll over. And, we got the sell signal up here, an initial drop, and then a lot of slop. So it was beginning to look, and maybe so. I mean, it's just, you just can't help but be confused because the charts are confusing. Right? So I would kind of say this jokingly at times over the history, is like, I'm not confused. I'm looking at the chart. The chart's confused. Everybody else is confused. I'm just following along with what's happening here. And this is a picture of confusion, plain and simple. So we just go with it until something changes here. And, so while this obviously looks like it's rolling over, I mean, in the short term, maybe the downside can be meaningful, but there's some pretty significant support down here. So it's not like we're yelling, fire, run for the exits. But in certain stocks, if this does move lower, certain things, it's always that way. The market moves lower, and you say, well, percentage-wise, maybe, it wasn't so bad. But when markets correct, you have to protect yourself, as you always should, because individual stocks can drop big time. The market could drop, 10, 15%, and individual stocks could be dropping 30, 40%. So while we talk about the market a lot, individual stocks can be on their own page. And even on the other side, they can hold up really well. That's called relative strength. And you've got those others that show relative weakness, and, they really get pounded. All right, Russell. This so looked like it was ready to blast off, but it's just the same story. Even yesterday was a big day. It hit the resistance up here, as it should. Not a big deal. Maybe consolidate and go higher, but no, it's all the way back down toward the bottom of yesterday's range. Still in the upper part of the big green bar, but as we spoke about yesterday, at what point do you begin to discount this bar? And it's been a long time. Historically, this kind of a pattern takes off already. So more of let's wait and see what happens. All right, bonds starting to peekaboo above here. This is not a good sign. It's still got a little bit of, the top of the range there, as you can see. And you can see clearly on the weekly time frame. And I don't think, I haven't looked, but I don't think, as this is coming down, that we have a concern about yield curves yet. But let's just take a look at the 3-month. So this is going down, right? So that is a positive. And in part, you've got the weaker dollar. But if this was steady, flat here, rather than going down, and we had the the 10-year dropping as it is, if the 3-month was flat, then we would have more of a concern about yield curve inversion. But anyway, 0.554, and way down. So, all right. And oil down a little bit here, maybe starting to roll over. So maybe a vote for the market really having maybe a little bit of a deeper correction. Gold just been resilient. It had the power move. The momentum is stalled. We talked about that a couple of days ago. That's what we expected. Momentum is stalling. It doesn't mean this move is over. There'll be buyers on pullbacks. If it goes flat, it's going to show even more strength. Silver, whippy, still strong. And lastly, transports, which had a great day yesterday. Right? I mean, comparatively, it gapped above this down bar. And so I spoke about this yesterday. It was like, well, this is still a bullish overall pattern. And if it could get above that red bar, that's a big positive. Now, this doesn't give us pre-market data, but if this is gapping down here at the open, and we already know where the spiders are opening up, I mean, all of that starts to lead more and more to, lower prices. Yeah, yep. So yeah, UPS is up big here, and FedEx. So maybe this actually holds. So when we're looking at so many things, trying to figure out what the hell is going on here, that there's confusion. And so one of the things is everybody, so many that are new to the markets think that, oh, if I had access to this information, or institutions, because they have all of these analysts that they know what's going on. Well, I'll tell you, if they really knew so much more, and there are times that they do, there's no doubt, but you would not have these charts that are chopping and chopping and chopping, and then gapping below green bars and gapping above red bars, if all of that information led to a definitive outcome of what to do here. So, it's just the environment that we're in right now, whether it's Corona, whether it's China, whether it's protesters, whether it's the election, we just see how it all turns out. Christian's asking about market internals. So they're still up here, option traders just betting that this market is going to soar. And you just never want to be on the side of these guys historically. And, those options, it's not like the market's tanking for sure, but, that bullish bias is not working out well at all. So yesterday's update got a flip up in breadth, and it was a good day for breadth, actually. When you see this is a day-to-day breadth, and when it spikes up there near 2000 on a green day, that's great, right? Because you see that, the breadth is really healthy. But now we've got this gap down. So we'll see how it all plays out. No matter where we look, it leads us to a point of saying, hey, the markets are confused. There's this uncertainty about whatever it might be, multiple things. And look, we just have to deal with it. It's going to change at some point. It always does. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. So, do you remember yesterday? I kept saying, just in my 25 years of active trading, I like waiting to get, not getting too heavily swing exposed on Fed days based on the afternoon strength or weakness. And here's another example. The gap down. I don't know the reason. I just see it so many times. All right. So obviously it looks, our longs, a lot of them are gapping against us. Our call spreads, the gap is helping us. Remember I gave you all a list of bullish stocks yesterday morning, and I sent it to Telegram. The two biggest ones that are up in my minder today. Look at this Blink. Blink I was watching for like 2 weeks as a possible core trade. And it took off yesterday. Now it's gapping up. Look at this one, Home. I was planning on giving this today over yesterday's high. Bullish consolidation in the top half of this. And now that's gapping up, wow, 40%. If it weren't McGraw, if it weren't the FOMC, I would have. All right, let's just go. If you have a question about any opens, just ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to look at all these gappers somebody asked about NVIDIA. We just have to let it play out. You know, we have the 405s, so it's still $8 away for tomorrow. And now, if it negates the gap and trades over yesterday's high, it looks like a new trade. It would look good. This Boeing, we tried doing a call spread yesterday, and I was hoping we were going to get filled on this bounce, and we didn't. But let's keep an eye on this for maybe doing a further out of the money call spread for next week. AMT. Well, why do you say breakout failure? I can't, there's no volume, Alex. Pre-market, zero volume, so I don't trust it. I don't know if this is having something to do with what Trump said, or I have zero idea, but I had this in this 5-minute window or 15-minute window from yesterday. And wow, I don't know what's going on with Ruger. That's a breakout failure, Alex. Look, that was a beautiful 1, 2, 3 breakout yesterday. That's why it was in my window. I was looking to get us on board. That maybe is a call spread now. NOW 432. It's a bearish gap, but no pattern. Qualcomm, a little downside shakeout here, gap breakout, but the gap's too big. Gap's too big. Swibby. Yeah, but that one's not hurt nearly as bad. Swibby. Eno. That had a wild ride this morning. There's no pattern on the daily, but it could set up for a day trade. This Kodak. Kramer actually had a very interesting talk a couple minutes ago with Mark Faber, CNBC. He's like, and he was bashing these Robinhood traders. He says, you know what? You all want to play games like this? And he mentioned like Hertz Rent-A-Car in bankruptcy and then driving that thing up. He said they should come out. They should call gold. He's dead accurate in my opinion. He said the CEO should call Goldman and say, I want you to do an offering, a secondary spot offering right now for 15 million shares. I agree with that. Why not issue stock to the public at these inflated prices? No, Alex, that's funny you say that, because I'm actually shocked that he still stands the test of time after these decades. He's been on there ever since I started watching CNBC. And he was, in my mind, just so much more buffoonish, like a buffoon on his show after whatever it is, 6 or 7 p.m., whatever. But I actually like his morning commentary now at 9 a.m. He just sounds more intelligent to me these days. But yeah, I would do the same thing. I'd go ahead and issue 15 million shares at $40 right here. And then they could pay the government back that $700 million loan or whatever the heck it was. Pay the government back and you've made 10x already by your stock price. All right, enough of that. But I mentioned Kodak's going to be a toy for a long time. So I'll leave it here on the 5-minute chart. I don't mind day trading it. I think you're playing Russian roulette, holding something like that overnight. It's I have no idea what's up with this, but it's gapping from $5 to 16. Yeah, so McGraw, we just need, or I'm sorry, Parham, we just need a setup now. We need a bearish setup to sell those out of the money call spreads, but good, I'm glad they did. Etsy, someone emailed me saying, hey, what do you think? I said, yeah, I like it. Little retest here, downside shakeout. It's actually relative strength. The fact that it's negating the pre-market gap. So that's a watch for a put spread, sure. Another thing here, look at this, from 370, gapping up to 10 bucks, coming back to earth. Oh, that's, yeah, huge. That's a pharmaceutical. There's the home we just talked about. Kindi. Wow, had quite a day yesterday, and wow. Would I personally hold something overnight that looked like this? No, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't, but if you did, you're getting paid handsomely. Now it's gapping up another whatever huge percent. Amazing. Below had a bullish close. These are all earning stocks now. Now it's, you know, a bearish gap, but still has support here. There's nothing to do with that. Yum, same. It closed bullish, but gapping down, no pattern. Can't tell where you're gapping, but that's a bullish close. Or maybe these were not earnings. Maybe these were just carryovers from yesterday, because can't tell where you're gapping, but that's a beautiful chart right there for continuation. Putting that in a window, that looks great. XEL. Whiskey Mike. Another one broke out, but we'll come back to you. No pattern. Yeah, these are all earnings now. UPS 137. Is that all-time highs? No. Well, actually it is. Look at that, gap in all-time highs. Now that is a gap and crab on a weekly chart. So maybe 30-minute low. We can sell a call spread. I'll keep an eye on it. TXT, no pattern. Although the weekly, it just looks like dead money, but it could be a put spread, McGraw. TFX, that was a nice close. We'll come back to it. TAP. Ah, McGraw, this is the one that you like, that little mini 123. 38.60, that's a big gap. That's another no-brainer put spread. We'll come back to you, but that's strong. Southern, no pattern. Now that little marijuana stock we mentioned the other day, I still have that in a minder. There's no pattern right now. I can't tell what you're doing. Region, no pattern. And your bio, PG gapping up, but that's you're just chasing. Overstock, 70 bucks. Wow, that's up 10 bucks. That's a gap and crap candidate. Let's keep an eye on you too to sell a call spread or day trade. You got to see how they set up. Odafel, this is a trucker. 30-minute low. That could be a day trade short. Daku, yeah, yesterday had a very nice day. You know, bouncing off that prior support. Knock, we'll come back. MMC, that's bullish consolidation. We'll come back to you. MCO, you're a mess. Moss, we'll come back to you. MA, we'll come back, you're a mess. Lily, hey, that's a bearish pre-market right there. That's a beautiful, maybe 10-minute low. Bearish gap down, topping tail. Let's wait 5 or 10 minutes, but that looks like a nice day trade short. Look at Boeing here, darn it. I wish we got in our call spread yesterday. That looks fantastic to go lower. I said to Greg, you know, I would not be surprised this thing came back to 140. $22 target. This thing's gapping down from a consolidation. That could be a call spread. LNQ, no pattern. Codex, the mark. Tell me what you're thinking. There's no pattern. We have a half lot. KHC, we entered this as a core trade. You know, let's see about selling a call now.